Alright, let's keep working the series of single legs. This one, it's gonna be a variation when my opponent works a little bit like faster and he defends the first single leg that I use with using the sleeve, and I'm able to switch for a kind of like a belt drag, right? So in this situation, how I like to do? Of course, as I said before in the other situation, when my opponent has the sleeve, doesn't really matter if he reach the sleeve first and I rotate and get on top, or if I control first, right? But of course, when I have this grip, when I'm going looking for this takedown, I never can hold this way, like this kind of grip, because this one is too easy for opponent like rotate and break. So I always like to hold the traditional, like let's say the spider guard grip, right? Because here is easy for me to pull my opponent and the direction that I want, right? So in that situation, what I'm gonna look for? Bringing him up, of course, I'm going for the takedown. If he doesn't defend, what I'm looking for is what? I'm bringing him up and I'm gonna drop on my knees, and at the same time, I have to make him step closer to me. So look, I bring and I get the situation, right? Look, right away, my head on his shoulder and I hug, so now I can control the direction, right? But my opponent, a lot of times when he feels what I'm looking for and he has a good defense, he gonna sprawl. But it's different. If I just enter straight on his leg, the sprawl is gonna be right on my back, on my neck, right? So if I don't move aside, right? So what's gonna be? So I'm gonna bring and he's gonna sprawl. So look, here it's gonna be hard for me to do anything. But if I get away, even if he get a good sprawl, I still gonna be able to stand up first and reposture or get like a variation. So what I'm gonna look for here? So look, I'm gonna bring him and not just pull to me, but I'm gonna bring up, making him step. And you see how I get away? Because now, look, it's too easy. He's not on my neck. Even if his hand's still, but there is no weight here. So what I'm able to do, I reach, he sprawl the leg, right? Break my grip here. No. Okay. Right? So look, but I'm still able to reach his belt, right? When I get this situation here, first reaction, what's gonna be? We both is gonna stand up first, we're gonna stand up together. But now look, my arm is gonna be over his back, right? So once I take my knee out of the mat, right away I keep his hand, and now I'm gonna do the same movement of arm drag, but instead of grabbing his arm, his triceps, I'm gonna grab the belt, and I'm gonna do exactly the same movement, right? So look, I'm gonna step out, and the other leg, I'm gonna straighten my leg, and the idea is just to make him trip on my leg. And the arm, I'm gonna keep inside. Make sure that you don't bring outside, because worst case scenario here, he's gonna underhook, so I don't want that, right? So look, I keep between my knees, and then I step out and straighten my leg. Right away when I get this situation here, don't stay away, right? Try to cover his legs or enter in the half guard, because that's the way that you're gonna secure him not to stand up, and you still have the control of the sleeve. So always, I just like to let go of the sleeve when I'm able to cover his arm, and now I can work a lot fast, right? I remember like in the worst, in 2018, I used this one against a really tough opponent, Vitor Honório, and one of the best bases that I fought against, and that's how he defended, and that's how I got the variation, and after I got the takedown, it changed the whole fight. So I get the position, making him step, but it's really important, the range, the side, right? So you see how easy and how close I am from losing the leg and switching for the belt, because now when we're standing up, finish and try right away cover the leg, because if you don't cover the leg, you will be able maybe to scramble and or stand up because yeah, I don't want that situation to happen, right? Especially when the opponent has a really good base, he's not gonna try like play guard. The first thing that he's gonna try to do is stand up. So when he tries to stand up, you see how I cover the legs, and then I'm able to secure and establish the position and get the takedown. Let's do one more time, a little bit faster. Alright guys, that's one of the variations. Let's work. Alright, now in the series you're gonna see like a couple takedowns using the grip, using the advantage of the grip. Of course, before we saw a couple using when we both like hand fighting and or he touched my sleeve or I grab his sleeve. But in the series you're gonna see when I wanna have the sleeve control from the hand fighting. So let's say my opponent got the grips and I wanna break it and go to the takedowns. So it's gonna be a different situation, different like series. So of course I'm looking for this in this situation. Actually both, because from here it's hard to grab one grip and give like both situations, because my opponent, as soon as I move, he's gonna break the arm or he's gonna like move and it's gonna be hard for me to have the control. If I have one grip and I wanna work from here, it's great, it's easier. But if I wanna have like the cross grip or both grips, it's gonna be hard to get from all the situation unless it's like breaking from here, right? So why I start doing this position? Because of course I fight like ultra heavyweight, and a lot of times I fight guys like way stronger than me with like a way stronger grip. And the traditional way that I used to do here, I never really get like effective, right? Of course, if you touch both the hands and you break it, perfect, you got it. But a lot of times if you don't do the proper like technique, like the technique right, it's gonna be like really hard for you to get like an advantage, and you're gonna spend a lot of energy here. And a lot of times when you distract it here, that's when your opponent set up like his takedown and you like focusing too much on this and you lose all the attention in the rest. So what I like to do in that situation, first thing, I always try to do the easiest way, right? If I break, great. If not, then I saw that it's gonna be a little bit different, right? And I remember one fight that I was trying to fight to break the grip, and my opponent had like a really strong grip, and I kind of saw that was hard to do, but my ego was like really strong, and I said, no, I'm gonna break anyway. I remember I tear his gi, but I didn't break his grip. So after that, I realized it wouldn't be like just ego now would help me, so I went after to like learn like a really effective way, and I remember I learned a really similar way with like, actually was this, but I adapted for my positions and worked really better. I learned that from Flávio Canto, like one of the best judoka players that from Brazil. So I changed a little bit. So how I do now, I grab the opposite grip, right? Because I don't want to have the same side. So I want to have the opposite side, and I just work as like a sleeve grip, like a spider guard, regular grip. And my other hand, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna control, right? But you have to feel your middle finger right covering his wrist, right? Because here you have the control of the wrist, right? So what I'm gonna do now, of course, make sure that you have a good base, and always when you're doing anything, you have to move. Because if you keep stuck, he's stuck too, so it's really easy for him to shoot or something, or to create base. So that's why when I'm doing, I always move, right? So you see, right away I push it, and one really important thing is what? You have to create that space. So look, so look, you create, right? Even if you get like a little bit higher, so what I have to do is what? I move and I straight, right? So you see the space that I create between his hand and my neck. That's what I need to create. Because a lot of times when I just push, I don't have that leverage anymore. So here with the little pushes, it's not gonna make like impact for his grip, right? So that's why I create here, I control, because you see how I have the control of the wrist. So now I straight, right? Of course, I'm not gonna break, I'm not gonna slide, I'm not gonna create any space, but just a little bit space, right? So now what I'm gonna do, from that situation here, make sure that you have like a good base. And now you're gonna bring his hand to your ear, but not just bringing down. So you have to bring his arm up, you have to keep his arm at the same line, and you just drop on your legs. So don't go forward, just bend your knees. So you're gonna drop and you're gonna bring his hand up. You see how his hand go through my ear, kind of like a punch on my ear. So now when I have this situation, now I'm gonna push back my body and his hand, right? Now I break the grip. As soon as I break, look, that's why I like to have the cover grip. So here, it doesn't really matter which takedown you're gonna use. So you can control both hands, pull his arm down, cover, arm drag, like 2-on-1 grip, pull to you, shoot. So it's gonna give you like a whole different like series of options from that position. So you need to choose which one you're gonna use. But the whole idea is to break the grip right first. After that, you have a lot of options and you're gonna choose what you're gonna do. So he got the grip. I try to break in traditional way. He has my grip too. Doesn't really matter. It's hard. I know I'm not gonna break. I control the sleeve. I control the wrist, right? Push a little bit. You see, that's like a really real situation. I have just like a little space, but that's enough. Now look, I'm gonna make a good base. I'm gonna drop, but I'm not gonna drop his arm. You see, I don't wanna see his arm doing this. I keep his arm the same way, and I just drop my legs and bring his arm forward. Now I push and I control what I wanna do. So now I have the control of the sleeve. So now I can choose which takedown I'm gonna use. One more time, change the angle for. First, didn't work. Control the opposite grip, control the wrist, push a little bit, create a space, keep his arm high, drop on your legs, push forward, right? You see the distance that goes through my ear. Now I push, and here I'm ready to choose what I'm gonna do, right? That's how I like to break the grip, and let's work for the next steps. Alright, in this video we're gonna work one more variation from the double leg. This one when my opponent has a really good lapel, really good grip on my lapel, and I had to deal with the grip first and then looking for the double leg, right? So in this situation, I'm gonna, of course, I need to have both grips on his sleeve. So it will be hard for me to grab just straight from that situation, because he will be too easy to defend. He can use the knees, he can use the hand, he can shoot. So he has too many options. So what I like to do in that situation is what? When he has a grip, if you haven't seen, but I did like a video just explaining how to break the grip really detailed, but I'm gonna explain really fast here. So, of course, I always try to make it like the easiest way, like just pushing the traditional way, but if it didn't work, I had to do like the right technique. What would be? So I had the opposite grip, right? And the other grip, my middle finger, I had to be around his wrist, because here I have like a good control of the wrist, right? So now what I'm gonna do? So always moving, right? And try to break the grip. Of course, when you keep doing this, the opponent thinks that's how you wanna break the grip. But actually, you're just creating the space, right? You see, even like when you push, you create that little space here between my neck and my collarbone and his hand. So I need to create this little space here that's gonna help me to reach what I want, because if it's like too tight, I can't have the space, right? So look, I'm gonna push and create a space here. So now what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna drop, right? And at the same time, I can drop his arm. I need to get his arm at the same line, but I just drop on my legs and I push his hand towards my ear. So it's gonna be this. So look, I drop and push, right? So it's gonna be kind of like 3 steps, like 1, 2, 3, right? So when I have this situation here, I control both sleeves. But I like to grab, when I have this situation, it's gonna be really easy to reach. And now I step back at the same time, I bring him to me, but look, when I bring his arm, I try to cross almost over his belt, right? The direction of his belt. So look, I break. So now I step back, pull him to me, but you see how I bring his arm like to that direction, diagonal. And now look, at the same time I bring him to me, I step back, preparing my shoot, right? Setting up my shoot. So look, I pull him to me, drop his arm, so now I let go and I'm ready to shoot. So when I have the situation here, so that's why I bring the arm closer to me, because when I shoot, I'm gonna grab the double leg, but his arm will be stuck between my body and his body, right? So look, I step, boom, and get the double leg. Of course, when I have this situation here, it will be really hard for him to defend. Why? Because he's gonna have just one arm. So that's why, of course, you can bring just up and shoot, but then you give him an option. I don't want to give him, my opponent, any option. So that's why when I do everything, so look, I straight the arm, so create the space, I drop, bring to me, and get the double leg. And you see how I control when I get the double leg. This one, most of the times, you're gonna finish almost in the close guard, but always I pay attention on my back leg to not let my opponent close. So look, I always step over and I pinch my arm really tight. So that way I can avoid him to close the guard and I can choose the direction that I want and working for a pass and any kind of other situation, right? So let's do one more time. An easy way to remember how to break the grip would be like this. So he get the grip, so I cross grip and get the wrist. So look, it's gonna be 3 steps. Look my stance first, good stance. 1, 2, 3. Step back, pull, see, pull down, standing up. Okay. Right? Always remember, when you touch his leg, right? When you touch the double leg, I always try to get his arm for this one stuck. Imagine that I want to do this with his leg. So bringing him to me and my shoulder hit on his hip, on his belly. So that's why I like that. I'm not just pushing, I push, but at the same time, I sweep his legs on the mat, right? So look. So then, try always avoid the close guard and you finish in a good position. So it's not just about touching the leg and making him fall. It's about like sweeping his feet from the mat. So makes your chance to get like a good takedown higher and easy to control when you finish. Different than just making him sprawl or step back. Alright, now in this video we're gonna see one ankle pick from the grip fighting. So this one is really important to fight the right momentum, and it's not just about the right grips, but this one, for this technique, the most important is to make your opponent step, right? So that's gonna make the whole difference for the position. So look, first situation for this position is what? I need to have the grip. So if I just have the grip here, I can still use the takedown, but when I use from the grip fighting, a lot of times it's much easier to grab the takedown. Why? Because my opponent's gonna be closer to me. Okay? So look, we fighting here, we him fighting. So always I look for the easiest way to do it, to break the grip. But a lot of times it's gonna be hard, right? So a lot of times when I wanted to have the cross grip, I hold like that, right? Holding the cross grip already. But for this situation, I want to have the same side grip. So I just will switch the grip, but the concept of breaking is going to be the same thing, right? So look, I'm going to create a space, right? The hand, the middle finger, I'm gonna wrap around his wrist, right? Because I wanna have the control of the wrist, and always creating the space. So you see, when I push his arm, of course, I'm not gonna break his grip, but I'm gonna create the space. So when I have this, remember, keep his arm in the same line, don't drop his arm with your legs. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna drop and I'm gonna push his arm through my ear. So look, so now I break, right? So when I have this situation here, now what I have to do, the most important is to bring my opponent and to make him step, right? So look, I just break the grip, so I bring him to me, so you see how we step closer. So when he step the opposite foot, now I'm gonna push his arm against, right? So I break the grip, pull him to me, but at the same time, I cross over his face, right? And now at the same time I'm crossing his arm, I have to reach my leg and just touch behind his foot, right? Because that's how I'm gonna measure the distance. And my other leg, my other hand, I'm gonna reach his ankle, right? So that's gonna be the perfect way to do the ankle pick. But the idea is not just like I said, it's just not just the technique, but doing this, right, with my opponent, pushing, making him step, making him react. The whole idea of takedown is not just about how you do it, but how you make him to react on your step, on your, you set him up. Everything in jiu-jitsu, in my opinion, it's set up for takedowns, for sweep, for passes. So you want to put your opponent where you want him to be. So that's the whole idea, right? So I want to break the grip. So control the wrist, push, drop, bring his arm. Remember, 1, 2, 3. So bringing him to me and control. In that situation, you don't need to drop together. So look, you have the legs, so right away you can connect with a pass or something, but just make sure that you don't dive into the close guard, otherwise it's not good for you. Like I always said, avoid as much as you can the close guard. So it's gonna be one more time, really fast. So control, doesn't really matter what hand you use, but for this one I wanna have the same side. So I'm gonna control the wrist, push, always moving, push, create the space, drop, 1, 2, 3, bring him, cross over, and at the same time that you bring, you get the takedown and you connect with a pedal or something, right? That's how I like to set up the ankle pick. Let's work. Now in this video, I'm gonna show one takedown that is really effective. I like to do that a lot. And this one is really important, not just like when people don't feel really confident and not really confident to shoot like a double leg or to do like a judo throw. This one is a really safe way to try to do a takedown. And even if that doesn't work out, you have the perfect grips to stand up again and set up another takedown. So this one, it's I would say is like one of the easiest and the most effective takedown that people can do in jiu-jitsu, right? So of course, for this takedown, the whole idea, that's how I call 2-on-1 grip. Why? Because I have 2 on one arm, right? So that's why I call 2-on-1. So this one, I have a lot of like variations, even for sweeps when I have this takedown. So even if it like doesn't really like work for the takedown, you have the option to pull guard or you avoid your opponent pull guard safe. That's why I like to use so much this grip and this takedown, right? So let's say here, first, I need to grab the grips. How am I gonna do that? So I need to break the grips. As I showed before in the other video, like with a lot of details, so I'm gonna explain really fast how I like to do the grips, the 3 steps. So first one, I need to get the grip. I need to have the cross arm. So cross grip first. Second grip, I wrap around his wrist so I have the control of the wrist here. So look, I'm gonna push, I'm gonna create space, Need to create a space between my neck and his wrist. So now I'm gonna drop it, but don't drop his arm. Keep his arm in the same line. And you're gonna push his arm through your ear, right? So imagine that you punching your own ear, right? So now when you push, you're gonna be like a whip. So it's gonna be really hard for him to hold with his fingers. And you're gonna break the grip. As soon you break, you twist. Because now it's gonna be really hard for him to twist and have the control of the sleeve. So it's different if you just hold like that and then he can re-grip. So that's the grip that I like to do. Always pushing down and your knuckles control the wrist. So now it's gonna be hard for him to do anything and you're pushing down. You see, I'm not doing any strength, but it's just a lot of weight that I put on him. So the whole time is gonna be a lot of pressure here on the shoulder. So he's gonna be trying to reposture the whole time and doesn't really matter. So you see, first reaction of my opponent is to hold something, right? And my other hand, my free hand, what I have to do, I have to make a grip here on his armpit, right? Because now it's gonna be really like safe for me to do anything. So look guys, when I have this situation, I can choose what I want. If I wanna get the distance, if I wanna get away from my opponent, I can step back and choose what I want, right? If I wanna get close, if I wanna get like a close fight here, so what I have to do is what? Always imagine that you want to go towards his back. But when you step, he follows you, right? Of course. But in that situation here, I'm far. If I want to get close, what am I going to do? I'm going to put my head in the pocket. So look, right? So here, now is the same concept that I said before when I have grips and the head in the pocket. Because if my opponent wants to shoot, if he drops, look, I always follow him. If he tries to do anything, my head is like an antenna. So look, and I always ahead of him. If I step, he follows, right? So doesn't really matter what he's looking for. Now I'm gonna explain before shoulder takedown why I think this is so effective, right? Because here, let's say if I fight like against a really good guard player, and I know my opponent is gonna play guard, he's gonna pull guard. But for him to pull guard, he needs to pull safe. So let's say he's gonna pull guard and I know it, and I am one step ahead of him already. So like pull guard. So he's not safe. It's different if he has both grips and then he pull guard. So now he pull guard safe, right? So when I have this situation here, so he wanna pull guard. So it's gonna be really easy for me just to step back and push his hand against his hip, right? So let's say we're fighting him before I reach for the takedown, he pulls guard. You see? So even if I don't get the pass, I'm gonna make him react and he's gonna be out of his like first plan, right? So it's gonna be easy for me to get anything. So that's why I said, because sometimes I get the grips before I hit the takedown, my opponent pulls guard first, and I can't get the takedown. So you gotta be just in the back of your head. If he tries to do that, push against the hip, so then his leg will be out of the range to touch you. So it will be really easy. You see, even though I don't pass, but now he's in a bad spot. But let's say I'm shooting for the takedown. So what I gonna do? Like I said, doesn't really matter. One thing that I don't like is when I get the grips, I get stuck here. Why? Because it will be really easy for him to try to break, and a lot of times he's gonna use the knee. The knee to break the grip. So, doesn't really matter how strong your grip is, if your opponent uses the knee, he always gonna break. So the way to avoid he breaking with the knee is what? Just walking. So always when I get the grip, I always like to walk, because when you walk, you make your opponent react on your steps. So then it will be really easy for you to reach the takedown. So when I have this, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna always step, bring him to me. When I find the right space, I'm gonna step out, right? And then my other leg, look, my other foot, I'm gonna hit the bottom of my foot on his shin, right? It's not foot on the shin, so it's the bottom. So you're not gonna kick him, you're not gonna hurt your foot or either his shin. So this it's okay, right? So look, you rotate, you step out. So look, 1, 2, right? So look, you step out, in, and you're gonna reach that situation. So a lot of times, he gonna land like that. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna lift, you're gonna pull yourself, you're gonna drag yourself up with the hand on the triceps, and look how I land. Always on my elbow, never on my shoulder. So it'll be really easy for me to pull myself in and finish on top, right? So from here you can switch. But, of course, in a perfect world, the takedown would work like that. But a lot of times, my opponent defend and finish with the hand on the mat, or he doesn't land just like he did. So when I do the same thing, I rotate, but you see how I still can lose the grip, and my head, always in Jiu-Jitsu, this is really important. Who has the head higher has the advantage. So in that situation here, of course, we're not going to stop here. It's going to be like the momentum. But I see my head's higher than his head, so what I'm going to do? I'm going to use my weight, my pressure here to keep pulling him down, and I'm going to like drag. I'm going to use him to climb him up with that grip. So look, and a lot of times I use this foot here to wrap like a half guard and come up, right? You see how I keep his legs? Even, that's why I say it's really safe takedown, because even if you don't hit the takedown, you can use the half guard. So now, look how I cover his shoulder with my chest, and then I switch and end up in a body lock, and end up in a seat belt, and here I can choose what I want to do from here, right? So let's say that's another situation. If I do the same thing and my opponent rotate and faces me, so let's say I'm going for the takedown, when I go and he rotate and face me, stand up again. So look, exactly. You see, that's the real situation. He get away from me. So what I'm gonna do? Even if he's trying to go to my back or something, he can't because I have the grips. So see how easy it is to stand up because of my leg position, my elbow position, and my grips. Because look, I use that grip, the triceps grip, to help me to lift, and then you're gonna keep rotating. I'm gonna do again. So until I get a good takedown. So that's the concept. A lot of times when I don't get in the first shot, I lift him up, go again, and then you see so how close I get when I really want to finish the takedown. Then I finish on top, and I still have the cross arm because that's gonna give me an advantage to finish on top. So that's really a couple variations. That's how it can end up, the takedown. But the idea is always understand how to finish on your elbow and with your feet with the same position, because that's how the key of the position, the arm, the drag, and the way that you stand up. So that's why I said it's one takedown. They're gonna give you, if you're not really confident with shooting, with double leg, with single leg, or like judo throw, it's something really safe. Even if you miss, you're gonna be in like half guard situation, and you're gonna give you like a lot of options.